Sixers pick up their third straight win, this time over the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Tyrese Maxey, who had his 11th straight game of 25-plus points. It's been a great run for Maxey, the Sixers, the entire team, also the city of Philadelphia. But of course, we got to talk about what this means going forward with Joel Embiid possibly returning and Paul George injury. So without further ado, here's the intro. What's going on, Cliffhangers? We are back with another video. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers before the end of 2025. So make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button down below. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, become a part of Noti Gang. Hit that bell notification down below so you never miss a video. Get me to 100 likes on this video. Let's get into it. All right, so like I said, Sixers pick up their third straight win last night over the Los Angeles Lakers. Tyrese Maxey erupts for 43 points. He is now the sixth leading scorer in the NBA with 27.1 points per game. He has been on a crazy run these past 11 games. I'm going to just read off some of the stats for you, and what he has scored over these last 11 games is crazy. 43 points, 31 points, 29 points, 28, 37, 28, 33, 29, 30, 29, 31. Now, of course, these are some amazing numbers, and it's showing that Tyrese Maxey can lead a team. But it had me thinking, all right, honestly, if Tyrese Maxey continues to play this way, there's no real reason to bring Joel Embiid back. And I'm going to let y'all know why. So I know y'all going to be in the comments crazy, like, why wouldn't you bring Joel back, especially if the Sixers are on a winning streak and they have some type of life to try to make the playoffs or try to make the play-in. But hear me out, right? I don't think that they should bring Joel Embiid back because at this point, I and a lot of Sixers fans, we have pretty much washed this season, right? Sixers are still in the 11th spot. I think they're like one game out of the 10th seed for that play. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, all right, well, you try to get into the play and you see what happens with the healthy Joel Embiid. But where I am in my headspace and where a lot of Sixers fans are, we're just ready for a new era. And a lot of people want to see, okay, what can they do in the post Joel Embiid era? And I've said it many times on this channel. But for me, my reasoning for not bringing Joel Embiid back is because I feel like this is the perfect time to see what you have in Tyrese Maxey as a number one. I have said on this channel many times, plenty of fans have said Tyrese Maxey is not a number one. And I still don't believe that he could be I still don't believe that right now he is a number one option on a championship team. And maybe he does turn into that. But right now, I just don't see it. I think that he would be a great number two. But I think that what the Sixers should do when you see the stretch that Tyrese Maxey is currently having, how he's leading the Sixers. And remind you, this is not a Sixers team built around Tyrese Maxey. This is solely built around Joel Embiid. Maybe it's poorly constructed. Maybe there's a bunch of things, there's some things you want to change. Maybe they're too old, but at the end of the day, it's not built around Tyrese Maxey. So I feel like, okay, hey, you're in this 11th spot. You see where you're not going to be one of those top tier teams. Even if you do make it into the play-in, you're going to have to run into like a Boston or a New York or a Cleveland first round, right? And that's not going to bode well, just history, statistics, whatever. Maybe you can sneak out of that second round, pull off an upset with a fully healthy Sixers roster. Then things are different, right? But if that doesn't happen, you're right now in the 11th seed. You still are in a position to possibly tank and try to keep your top 6 pick. Or if you do continue to win, that's better. But I think what you have to do right now as an organization is take this time to see what you have in Tyrese Maxey as a number one. Like, I don't feel like you need to bring Joel Embiid back at this time. You sit him out, maybe try to get him healthy get him fully healthy for next season. Even though I've heard that sitting him out and him playing, like, this is just something that his knee is just, Joel is just going to have to deal with. But if you know that this is what Joel is going to have to deal with and this is just his knee injury and you're really looking for is like, all right, what can we possibly get for him in the offseason? Or if you're looking at next season and looking to make one big run for it, whatever, right? But I feel like this is the perfect time for the Sixers to see what they have in Tyrese Maxey as a number one, see how far he can take you, see exactly what you have looking for, because at the end of the day, the Joel Embiid era is coming to an end, and it's coming to an end very quickly. So you need to kind of get your ducks in a row to figure out, okay, how do we build this team next? Can we build a full roster around Tyrese Maxey, or can we fill in some spots here and hopefully work through the draft or hopefully work through free agency when we are able to get off these Joel Embiid and Paul George contracts to see if we can bring in a co-star next to him that could help elevate the ceiling of this team or the floor of this team to possibly being a championship competitive team. Right now, I personally think if Tyrese Maxey continues to play this way, he could definitely lead a competitive team heading into an NBA playoffs. I think like their ceiling will be like a 3rd seed just because of some limitations that Tyrese Maxey has. It's not all his fault. It's just like his height and things like that. But the way that he is leading the Sixers right now, he is able to, he's becoming a leader. You can see that all the guys are following him. They're responding to how he is playing on the court. You can kind of see like, okay, when Tyrese Maxey gets hot or when he wants to play fast or when he's playing angry, the team kind of follows him. They're following his work ethic, and it's just amazing to see this leader that he has grown into to where he can lead an NBA team. Like these last 3 games have been because of they've won because of Tyrese Maxey. Like he has put them on his back. He has shown that he is the number 1 option for them, and you have to look at the talent around Tyrese right now. Like he's going with like Gershon Yabusele, Kelly Oubre is like Gershon actually might be his number 2. Gershon is number 2. Kelly Oubre is his number 3. Paul George is barely playing. So I think what you do, you take this season, you see what you have as number 1 in Tyrese Maxey. You play Paul George in spots here and there because like his ideal co-star would be probably like a Paul George, who is a defensive-minded wing. Well, not defensive-minded, but who is a wing who can play defense, who can handle, who can shot create, who can take some pressure off of Tyrese Maxey, maybe when he was 5 years younger. But you can see how Paul George still helps Tyrese Maxey when he's out there because of his gravity and what he's able to do in Paul George's playmaking ability. That takes some pressure off of Tyrese Maxey. Now, that would be the ideal co-star that you would bring in for Tyrese when you start to build a team around him, I guess. To see how far you can go to elevate the team to possibly be a championship contender for years to come. But like right now, see what you have, see if Tyrese Maxey can sustain this level of play throughout an entire NBA season to where you look at him, you can say, I can build a team around this guy. All right. I personally think this is what I wanted the Sixers to do all along. I've said, what if you do like the Miami Dolphins did in the NFL and you just put a team full of speedsters around Tyrese Maxey, a bunch of players that just run fast, jump high, and are athletic, and are the exact archetype of Tyrese Maxey. You just build a team off of speed because every team needs an identity, and I feel like you should do that with the Sixers. Now, that's just my fan brain working. Like, it obviously probably wouldn't happen, but it's just something to think about when you're thinking about, all right, we need to find a new way of building the Sixers. The Sixers need a new identity. They have had an identity problem since I don't know how long, probably ever since like the Jimmy years, where they were just a really big team and you knew that they were just going to beat you up on the glass or something like that. But just building a new identity, looking at Tyrese Maxey, how can we elevate because he's going into his prime years. This is probably the start of his prime. So how do we capitalize on that to where we can continue this stretch run? And honestly, if he doesn't turn out to be a franchise player and you're like, all right, he's not a number 1, he's probably a number 2 or a number 3, you look at it like that, you still have the opportunity to lose games and tank and probably try to draft or work through free agency and get a number 1 possibly, right? Like there are options that you have here if it doesn't work out. And also, if it doesn't work out, okay, you bring Joel Embiid back next season. You still have Tyrese Maxey. You still bring back Paul George, and you finally make one final run for an NBA championship with all 3 of those guys together. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? But there are options that the Sixers have that aren't so doom and gloom here to where you're just like, this sucks and you can't look towards the future because of the Joel Embiid contract and the Paul George contract, but you have Tyrese Maxey now, and if he continues this level of play, you see what you have in him as a number 1. If he wins games, that's great. You know you have a number 1. Sixers fans might not like it because then you're not going to get that pick, but at least you know you have a superstar budding on your franchise team without Joel Embiid and without Paul George. Now, if he does lose games, you know, okay, we don't have a number 1. We have a number 2. We're still losing games, which is good. We can get a draft pick. We can work through free agency. We can work the trade market, whatever, right? But I think it's a good opportunity for the Sixers to take this time, just see what you have in him and just like work it out from there and like just take your time with it because you do still have all season. You're in the 11th spot. You're 1 game out of 10. You still have an opportunity to decide what you want to do in the direction you want to take your season. So figure it out, ride it out with Tyrese Maxey. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Is Tyrese Maxey the franchise player that you want him to be? Do you think he's a number 1? Could he be a number 1? Or is he a number 2? What should the Sixers do? I'll holla at y'all.